Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulihil kareem. First, just to recap what we have discussed. First, we discussed the verse where Allah Tabarak Ta'ala explained to us that this is a world of mujahada. And He explained the reason why we have to make that effort. Because Allah Tabarak Ta'ala said He has selected us. Because we have been a selected Jamaat, it's an honor for us. That juhad that is spoken about, mihnat against the nafs, effort against the nafs, in another word it's called taqwa. That there are certain things you want and Almighty Allah wants something else. And then at that moment to hold yourself. This taqwa, to learn it, has come the month of Ramadan. And in the month of Ramadan, that fiza has been made, that throughout the day, whether you know it or you don't know it, you are practicing. Because throughout the day you will see something you want, but your hand won't go to it. So what happened is, I want the item, but my Allah says no, so no. And it reaches its climax. We heard from our Hazrat many a time, at the time of iftar. That at the time of iftar, why is it such a unique time where du'as are accepted? Because when everyone is on the dastarkhan, now the hunger is on its height. The hours have been done. Now the food is in front. The hand is even touching the date, the kajur. But what is preventing the man taking the date and putting it in his mouth? Because he is hungry. Water is coming from the mouth. He is looking at the clock. He is looking at the muazzin. He is looking at the clock. But why he doesn't put it? At that moment it's because his whole heart has now been programmed. That my Allah's command I'm waiting for. When He says do, I'll do. And as long as He says no, I'll hold on. No matter how hard it is. It's this exam of fasting, that in this surah also we have already seen 3 points, where Allah Tabarak Ta'ala brought our attention. One was zina. That is evil on itself. But unique to usul of Quran, that when the mistake happens, your son did something wrong, the punishment must be quick, finished. And then there must be no mention of the sin after that. Now must be the effort to make sure it doesn't happen in the future. And the whole surah Noor is on that. That it started with zina, so bad, and then forgotten about. The rest of the surah is how to make sure it doesn't happen. So the first part of the surah was to get control over the tongue. Because what is said will lead to thoughts later on. So the charcha, the talks of zina, on that we were taught, learn to control the tongue. The second was learn to control thoughts. It came is when the tongue starts going freely and you start accepting everything that you hear, and finally the accusations will go on good people also. And you will start getting filthy thoughts about very good people. So the next part came that Allah Tabarak Ta'ala said, why is it not that a believer thinks good of another believer? So the thought must be controlled. And thereafter the third principle was where it was told how to control the eye. And for that it was told practice. The one practice is, our Hazrat taught us many a time, in Salah, the biggest practice of our eye. That in Salah you are told, look here. It is only mustahab. But the eye has to practice. See, when the eye becomes weak, what happens? We normally go immediately to the optician. So my brother, Molana Musa explained, they visited Molana Abdul Sadiq Desai in PA, Ahmad Barakatu. And they asked him that how do you strengthen the eye? So he took out a certain glasses which had like no glass in it, or a hole. And he said when you put this on, it will strengthen the eye. Because now the eye is being told focus. But it's a very hard practice. But because we don't do it, our eye now either will get weaker or it just stays stagnant. We never gave it the chance to practice. But at least for protection from zina, Quran brought us on the level that practice the protection of the eye. You come to your own house, then why will you knock? Because I'm practicing. It must not happen that my eye falls somewhere. So first I'll find out anyone there, then I can proceed without any worry. I reach the house of somebody else, buyutan ghayra buyutikum. So first I will knock. I will ask, do I have permission to come? When permission is given, then I proceed without worry. And when I reach a market, an open place, a chance where there is a problem, when I go on the internet, then my Allah has told me, قُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ, that now there's no way you can say, hey, I'm coming. Now you have to first put on your eye on high alert, and then you walk into the area. When you go on high alert, many things which we see, perhaps we would never see after. Hazrat Molana Yunus Patel Sahib, Rahimullah, someone asked him, is it possible to control the eye? He said, Allah Tabarak Ta'ala blesses sometimes a person such that like how when you're driving and there are trees on your side. Every tree is beautiful, but you just don't notice it. And if the eye falls, it doesn't register. It frees. So the time will come when the eye gets so much of practice. But it got to do when Allah Tabarak Ta'ala allows. وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ يُزَكِّي مَنْ يَشَاءُ. So to make the dua for that. So the control of the tongue, the control of the mind, and thereafter the control of the eye. 3 things were asked from man and from woman. And thereafter now comes the hard part. This is the part which is now got to do with outside practice. Where Allah Ta'ala told the woman that you have to do the same. Control the tongue, control the mind, control the eye. The woman was also told, don't look around. But now one extra law was given to the woman. And this is such a law, perhaps for this reason Umar radiallahu anh wrote to his governors in Iraq, that teach the woman this surah. Iraq at that moment was an area what we call civilization. It was the Persian Empire. It was an America or England of today. Everyone wanted to live it up. And the Muslim Ummah now entered that land. So much of fear that the Muslim woman must not start wanting to be like the non-Muslim woman. He said, teach your woman Surah Noor. For what reason? Many a time when a woman was told, why don't you cover? Why don't you cover your body? Why don't you cover your face? Why don't you hide your beauty? And the first thing is, the answer is, it's my body. What's it got to do with you? But there is one unique thing of Quran, that any individual who knows that my Allah is speaking to me. Normally we tell a woman, why must you come in hijab? So someone will say, because other men will look at you. So that woman will say, me, nobody looks at me. She'll say that. So that answer already falls. Why? Because a wisdom was made the reason. The wisdom of covering the body was, you don't want somebody else to look at you. You for your husband. But that was the wisdom. If you ask the real reason why you have to cover, the answer will be because your Allah said He wants you to cover. Because your Allah said. It is this one reason when Iblis asked Allah Tabarak Ta'ala, why must I make sajda to Adam alayhi salam? So he wanted a reason besides the main reason. He wanted a wisdom. Whatever wisdom was going to be given, he was going to give an answer. Even if he had to be explained that look at man, look at Adam, look at the knowledge of man, look at what man will attain, he had his answer. He said, I am creator of fire. Look where fire goes, look where fan goes. But there was one answer that he has no answer for. And that is, my Allah wants that it must happen. Had he known that my Allah asked me make sajda, finished, I have to make the sajda. Similarly, when the woman is told that it is because your Allah just asked. But look at what a unique manner Allah Tabarak Ta'ala now explains it. And may Allah Tabarak Ta'ala make it. Number one, we have to desire that our wives must now come into the mold what Allah Tabarak Ta'ala wants them. Our daughters, our families. And whichever women are listening, think that this is the talk of my Allah to me directly. In what a manner Allah Tabarak Ta'ala now says, He says, قُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنَاتِ, that first you will ask the women, believing women, if they can also drop their gazes. They should not look around. But more than that, I am going to ask them something which is very, very difficult. And this is to cover their beauty. Allah Tabarak Ta'ala in the Quran says, وَلَا يُبْدِينَ زِينَتَهُنَّ إِلَّا مَا ظَهَرَ مِنْهَا. Look at how short the sentence is. Look at the explanation Molana Ashraf Ali Thanwi Rahimullah will now go into. And look at what a unique manner it was said and how beautiful. Allah Tabarak Ta'ala says to the woman, that ask the Muslim woman, meaning your Allah is asking you, that what is beautiful within you, do not expose it. وَلَا يُبْدِينَ زِينَتَهُنَّ, what is beautiful within you, do not expose. No mention was made whether you must cover the face, whether you must cover the hair, whether you must cover the voice, whether you must cover your arm. The woman was told, the beauty that is within you, do not expose it. And then when it comes to illa ma zahara minha, you will see how unique it ends up. What is the beauty of a woman? The first beauty of the woman is the inside beauty of the woman. It is her character, her kindness. Every woman is blessed with a kindness. And she can show the kindness with her acts and with her tongue also. So now someone comes to the house, it's a demand of akhlaq, a woman must be good. But she must not show her beauty to a man who she can't show it to. Even that inside character of hers, she must not make it so apparent in front of another man who is not permissible for her. Because he will start thinking of the outside beauty based on the inside beauty. So the inside beauty, she must hide it from the man. In the inside beauty of the woman will be the voice. In another part of the Quran, Allah Ta'ala will say, وَإِذَا سَأَلْتُمُوهُنَّ مَتَاعًا, speaking to the wives of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when the people will come and ask you for any need, فَاسْأَلُوهُنَّ مِنْ وَرَاءِ حِجَابٍ, then make sure they must ask behind the barrier. They must not see the individual. But thereafter the wives are also told, وَلَا يَخْضَعْنَ بِالْقَوْلِ, that when they answer, then they must not answer in a low tone. فَيَسْمَعَ الَّذِي فِي قَلْبِهِ مَرَضٍ, because there's always the fear that the man who got some sickness within him, he will start getting sore. The inside beauty of the woman had to be hidden so much that when she answers the phone, she cannot talk as sweet as she's supposed to speak to her husband. She can't. If she has to give an answer to her brother-in-law, she cannot be sweet, although she is sweet within. Because Allah said, I do not want you to expose your beauty. Do not expose. So the inside character of hers in front of every man, she cannot just show it. Her voice, she cannot just show it. Thereafter comes mawadi' azinat, those parts of the body which normally get exposed to show the beauty of a woman. A woman will put on earrings. So Allah Ta'ala says, that part of the body which shows your beauty, your ears, let another man not see that, who is not permissible for him to see. The hair is a sign of the woman's beauty. Let it not be shown to somebody else. The legs are a sign of a woman's beauty. The face is the main sign of the woman's beauty. Even the eye is the sign of the woman's beauty. What is not a sign of the woman's beauty? There is nothing. وَلَا يُبْدِينَ زِينَتَهُنَّ. Now understand when the hawa, the wind of iman has to blow. We perhaps will never understand it. Hazrat Umar radiallahu anh, in his time, the Sahaba radiallahu anh came to one area. They had to cross through those waters. Because of that river, the way it was flowing, it was that if we go with our horses, perhaps the whole horse and the whole army will go. But they had to pass. So first about 60 people were told, you take a chance. You go in and somehow try, because even if we go in the water, the attack of the enemy we still have to worry about. So 60, they gave their lives for death. And they went into the waters, and they managed, and every one of them came out. So the Muslim leader now said to the others, look at this. Put your trust in Allah and let the whole army go in. So it was a unique thing. They say only one person fell from his animal. And the Sahabi radiallahu anh caught him. Whereas they really thought many will pass away. So as they were now going, the Persians, when they were seeing the scene, they said, these are not men. That not one of them is being washed away. So the one Sahabi is such as Hazrat Salman radiallahu anh al-Farsi, and look at the understanding of Salman Farsi radiallahu anh. He said to him, just look at this. That we have such a nation on who divine help is. It seems no army will ever manage to stand up against us. And Islam will just grow and grow and grow. So Hazrat Salman radiallahu anh then sighed, while they're going through the water, imagine. At that moment he said, Islam is still new. He said, whoever you see here made the effort for Islam. What he meant was the time will then come where Islam will become old. Old means it will be an inherited Islam. For me, I knew it's an inherited thing. It was in my family. I made no effort for it. Because I made no effort for it, I have to be told cover. But the person who makes an effort for it, And we have heard many examples. Colonel Amiruddin gave dawat in a club. The woman who heard the dawat was a dancer showing a whole body. He explains that later on one night he receives a call, years later. It is that woman who was showing a whole body to the world. She was affected by his dawah, her whole body went into full hijab. Now she phoned and asked a question that I was going on the bus. And when I took out my hand to hold onto the rail, then the cloak pulled little back and a little extra was exposed. She said, how many people's eyes fell on that path? Will it burn in Jahannam? On that question is the part now of the verse, Illa ma zahara minha. Illa ma zahara minha means Almighty Allah says that when your Allah now asks you cover everything, then the believing woman covered everything. Now she is not allowing anything to be shown. But now she finds herself in certain conditions that someone phoned and she has to answer. She does not want to reveal her voice. But ma zahara minha, it had to become apparent. Allah Tabarakullah says, don't worry. That which becomes apparent, I'll make it ma'af. Look at that ayat, who it's speaking to. It's speaking to the one now who wants to be so covered, that when something has to now get exposed, the woman has to now leave the house. She was told, وَقَرْنَ فِي بُيُوتِكُنَّ, your house will cover you so well. But the time comes, there's a need for her to go out. So she's worried that my Allah told me, cover my beauty. But what's my beauty? My beauty is my inside beauty, it's even my outside beauty. And finally when the cloak comes final on top, that also shows part of the beauty of the woman. Now she wonders how I'm going to walk because so many eyes will be on me. So one tafsir of the Mufassirin was, Illa ma zahara minha. That Almighty Allah said, don't worry, the outer cloak, there's no way you can. So don't worry about that. Who you will say, don't worry about that? The one who is so worried now, that I don't want a person's eye to fall on my figure, a person's eye to fall on my voice, a person's eye to fall on my character, my thoughts to be in anyone's mind. So my Allah said, Illa ma zahara min, oh my servant, that which becomes apparent. Mufassirin will then explain a second meaning of ma zahara minha. They will say the woman has to sometimes now go out. Her servant is not doing all the work outside. So she has to take out her hand. She has to pick up a fruit. If she had gloves on, because of that fruit, the gloves would become wet. She did not want the world to see her finger also. But the finger came out. That woman was never told, show your hand to the world. She was told, when the hand gets exposed, then don't worry, your Allah won't take you to task for it. So quickly you picked up the fruit, you gave something, you put the thing back. Why? Because this is that beauty which my Allah said, I don't want somebody else to see. There are certain times that the woman is making hijab and parda. The second, third tafsir, one was the cloak, one was the hand, one is the face. That sometimes the woman is making parda, but the face to be covered all the time is not easy. So sometimes she's in the house, and other people are also in the house. She's covering her face this way with the burqa, she's doing that. Then sometimes it happens the woman walks from one side, not expecting a man. A man comes from the other side, his eye falls on her face. She feels so, whole life no one looked at my face. She has to travel for umrah. She knows someone will be looking at her picture. She doesn't like it. Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala says, oh my servants, don't worry about that. Illa ma zahara minha. If you understand the beauty of this illa ma zahara minha, Mufassirin then explained that the ulama of the Hanafi madhab explained even the foot is included. But in the same, that no woman was ever told, let man look at your feet. Rather it is, some ulama wrote, a woman must wear socks. Others said, the wearing of socks at all times is difficult. So sometimes a woman will not have socks on. And her foot will become exposed. She's supposed to feel bad about it. And then it will be said to her, oh my servant, illa ma zahara minha. That your Allah won't take you to task like that which just became apparent. But look at the wording, وَلَا يُبْدِينَ زِينَتَهُ. Say to the believing woman that the beauty which your Allah has given you, I don't want you to show it to the rest of the world. And thereafter Quran will come in detail. We will end on this. But so much of detail, Allah Tabarakalla says, illa. Yes, you can show it to your husband. Yes, you can show in front of your father. Yes, you can show in front of this, in front of that. To find a verse of Quran where it's mentioned, you can show him, you can show him, you can show him, so much of detail. Because Allah Ta'ala wanted to show who you can't show. You can't show your brother-in-law your beauty. You can't show who you think is your nephew but is not your nephew. Your brother's son is your nephew. And your brother's daughter is your niece. Everyone understands that. From them there is no hijab. But sometimes the problem comes where we think someone is our nephew and our niece who's really not our nephew and our niece. But because she calls me uncle, I call her auntie, everything happens. So example, my father's brother, his wife, my father's brother, his wife, for me my whole life she's auntie. And there were times perhaps she even says, I changed your napkin. But suddenly auntie for me now, after this verse I read, the Quran says, hey, she's not just any auntie. But now that auntie to this boy to that auntie. And so much of detail now ulama will explain. But it is for the woman to learn, for the man to learn. Every niece is not my niece. Every aunt is not my aunt. Every sister-in-law is not my sister. وَلَا يُبْدِينَ زِينَتَهُنَّ. May Allah Ta'ala give all of us that desire that our women cover their beauty. And every woman who is listening, that when my Allah said to me, will you please cover your beauty? To have that desire that I will go out of my way, O Allah, somehow or the other. And when I make mistakes, when it opens up, إِلَّا مَا ظَفَرَ مِنْهُ. What in Allah you made it maaf.